What's up, guys? Welcome back, or welcome to my channel if this is your first time. This is my channel, Pixie Dust and Spirit Alchemy, where we talk about all sorts of things: taboo, strange, occult, mystical, magical, stuff like that. If it looks like I'm sitting a little bit weird in my chair, it's because I am, because there's a cat sitting in my chair. My cat, I couldn't bring myself to move her. So today's video I wanted to make on something I've never talked about on this channel before, and that is learning new skills while lucid dreaming. For those who aren't familiar with lucid dreaming, what that is essentially being awake in a dream state, like being conscious in a dream state still. And so, it's not astral traveling, it's not exiting your body and going into the astral dimension. You are still in your dream, but you become aware that you are in a dream and therefore have control over what you're doing, who you talk to, where you go, stuff like that. How I tend to get lucid, because it's not something that happens very often, but I've found that when we set an intention to be lucid, then it helps. There's some herbs, that you can drink in tea that apparently help you become lucid. I can't think of the names off the top of my head. And, meditation. There's also binaural beats that you can listen to, or just some sort of trance-like meditations while falling asleep. Some of the ways that I usually become lucid, though, are... One example is if I'm in a bad dream, or in a dream that I don't like, and then all of a sudden I become lucid enough to say, hey, I'm dreaming. Let me get out of this. And so then I either wake up, or sometimes I'll wake up into another dream. And then in that dream, while I'm still asleep, I become lucid and can control more so where I'm going, where my dream body is going. Another way is my cat, Bella, loves to wake me up at really early in the morning for food. It's like 3 or 4 in the morning. And I'm usually about half asleep whenever she does that. And so sometimes when I'm done getting her food and I'm going back to sleep, I will become lucid while I'm falling back to sleep. Bella just rubbed up against me. Those are sometimes the things that trigger lucidity in dreams for me. There are other times where I'll just be dreaming and then can remember, like, oh, let me be lucid right now. And then I become lucid in the dream. Some people believe, and tend to be one of those believers, that when we are awake, like I am right now, we are actually asleep. And that when we are asleep, when we dream, is actually when we are awake. When we return to our spirit form, when we are actually our energy body, we're doing things, meeting people, seeing things, we're active with our energy bodies and with our sort of souls, our dream bodies, rather than in the physical. So it's an interesting perspective to think about. And just as I am lucid right now, and can control my actions and my choices and where I go, I can do the same in the dream state. So now the idea of learning new skills while lucid dreaming, like I said, was only introduced to me this year. And it was brought to my attention too that you can learn, it can be any new skill. If I want to be a great artist, or get better at an instrument, or get better at my craft. For me personally, the new skill that I am currently working on and wanted to intentionally work on while lucid dreaming was learning a new language, being fluent in Spanish. So a couple months ago, I set the intention. A couple months ago, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was talking about it more, triggered the being lucid in dreams, because I was talking about it with my roommate at the time. I was talking about it with a friend of mine. And it just so happened that, night after night, or, a bunch of nights within a span of time, I would get lucid in dreams. And when this idea was presented to me, that you can sort of visualize the self that exists of us that is already a master at what we want to learn. Because if we are wanting to learn something, whether it's, like I said, a new instrument or skill or a language, there is a timeline that exists out there where we already are good at that, where we're already masters at that. We have that ability when we become lucid within the dream to visualize that self of us that, for example, is already fluent in Spanish. And so what happened for me was I would become lucid in these dreams, and I would remember, oh yeah, I need to speak Spanish. And I would begin to speak Spanish. It was never very far. Like, I remember saying some things in my head, and sometimes it would only be these simple phrases, these not even full sentences. But I would become lucid enough to do that. And then sometimes it wouldn't stick, but it would continue. And that sort of happened over a bunch of days within a short span of time. After practicing this for a while, what happened eventually was that it was also brought to my attention to visualize the version of myself that's already fluent in Spanish. And another thing that we can do when we're in these lucid dreams and trying to get good at this skill is to manifest somebody who's already fluent in Spanish or is already proficient at this skill that we're doing, or already a master chef or a master pianist or master whatever, to learn from in our dreams while we're lucid. And so I did that one time. I was dreaming, and I remember, let me manifest a fluent Spanish speaker. I wasn't even thinking about a specific person, but it just so happened that this friend of mine that I know who is a fluent Spanish speaker, she speaks like 3 or 4 languages, just popped up in my dream. And she started talking to me in Spanish. And I could understand everything she was saying, and I could reply a little bit. But I haven't yet gotten to the point where I'm fluent enough, or I'm fluent in my dreams. Side note, it was really cool because the next day I texted that friend and I was like, hey, you popped up in my dream last night. I told her what I was doing, trying to manifest a fluent Spanish speaker, and you popped up in my dream last night. And she texted me back. She was like, oh my God. She was like, I've been thinking about you all day. And I was like, what? That's so cool. We were hanging out in the astral, in the dream world last night. And so it's, because it's all the same. It's all connected. It's all energy. It's still us. And this friend of mine too, she's also very psychic, very intuitive, very just spiritual. So she's very sensitive to energy. So it wasn't surprising to me that she could pick up on, me sort of calling out to her and speaking with her while being lucid while dreaming. We can continue these practices while we're sleeping, which will contribute to the practice that we do in the daytime. The tricky part is getting lucid. But I believe that starts with the intention of being lucid, of getting lucid. Saying to yourself, this is what I want to do. I want to lucid dream. I'm sure there's all sorts of tips and videos and stuff that you can watch and read on how to get lucid. For me, it just kind of happens by chance. I have yet to master it on a day-to-day basis, night-to-night basis, but it is possible. It's also about aligning our unconscious, our subconscious, and our conscious, right? Like if I'm practicing Spanish every day, and and getting better, that's great, that's one thing. But if I have this subconscious belief that I'll never be fluent in Spanish, or that I can't be fluent in Spanish, I'm blocking myself from ever reaching that goal, from ever aligning with that version of myself that's already fluent in this language. So we have to clear out, recognize these limiting beliefs within us, whatever they are, and then clear it out so that we can not have our subconscious, which controls 90% of our day-to-day thoughts. I believe it's 90%. Not have that block our conscious from working. There's this quote. I made a short video about this a while back, and I'll just bring it up again, because in one of Robert Monroe's books, he says, there is no teacher and there is no student. There is only remembering. And I talked about this with a piano student one time because she was a lawyer by profession, you know, and she was learning piano lessons, and she had this blockage because she wanted to learn piano but felt like she couldn't. And so I told that to her. And, you know, with her, she had that subconscious belief of, I can't do this. And so it took some working through, as well as continuing to work at practicing piano, practicing daily, to get her to believe that, like, I can do this. I can be as good at piano as I want to be while still being a lawyer. It's the same thing. Saying that I don't have time or whatever is not an excuse anymore. Because now we can lucid dream and learn a skill and practice while we're sleeping. The tricky part is just getting lucid. If anyone has experience with this, I would love to hear your thoughts, your feedback, what your experience was, your stories. You know, this is something sort of relatively new to me, and I love it. I think it's fascinating, and it does help, you know, it does. And it really emphasizes how the limitless potential that we have as humans, you know, because we can do or achieve or be anything that we want. The thing that holds us back is ourselves, not any external factors. Like, we may, you know, to some extent, but if we remove these blockages, then the external world will organize itself to help us to align with our goal. Oh, here's Bella coming out at the end of the video. So she likes to be on camera. I told you there was a cat behind me. I hope everyone is having a wonderful summer. I hope everyone is staying safe, having fun, staying cool in whatever part of the world you are, unless it's, you know, the southern hemisphere, then staying warm. But thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for more content to come. So as always, guys, stay kind, stay curious, and until next time, peace.